Chapter 5, Episode 18. A certain request from Elizabeth. The Empress pulled out the imperial staff, a staff used by high-ranking diviners, and waited for Pharma on the arena stage. "I've always wanted to fight with you once, but you've always run away from me. I have no intention of letting you go today, so give up and go with me. If you have something to tell me, I would like to hear it first." Pharma tried to deflect the conversation, hoping to avoid a battle, but the Empress brushed him off, saying it's not urgent. It's not an urgent matter. "But if your Majesty gets hurt, won't I lose my head too?" "But if His Majesty gets hurt, won't I lose my head?" No matter what happens here, no one can prove that Pharma did not assassinate the Emperor. "I don't intend to kill him, but I could be wrong. I don't want to be accused of assassinating the Emperor. I don't have my cane with me at the moment." "Is the cane on your waist just for decoration?" The Empress smiled wickedly and pointed at the staff of the medicine god. The Empress knew that the staff was a hidden treasure. "Yes, this is not for battle." "Then, I understand. I will deal with you." She put the staff and its belt down at her feet, jumped up and down in the air, and landed on the stage softly. The staff certificate, a hidden treasure, is kept in his pocket without leaving his skin. He made sure that his entire body was buoyant. Bare hands, huh? Oh well, I'll take you up on it. Please be gentle with me. The battle of the divine arts began without a word from either of them. Protection to Du Difu. Bright flames embodying divine power flared up from the imperial staff and engulfed the Empress' body. This was the first time Pharma had seen this divine technique, but she knew. "I can't use it, but it is a technique that makes you feel less heat and breathe more easily," Melody, who also had the same attribute, had told him. The powerful fire Jinjutsu users would use up all the oxygen in the vicinity and run out of oxygen. Therefore, they might create an oxygen dome with a kind of boundary to ensure their own activities. This is what Pharma imagines after hearing Melody's story. The Empress then waved her wand erratically in a flowing trajectory, sharply chanted the first stage of the activation chant, and spun the tip of her wand in a circular motion in midair. Pharma's enhanced eyesight caught the dangerous sign of a seed fire at the tip of the wand. Rusis Mandalanfer. With a two-step chant, the Empress changes the adaptive field of the fire god's blessing and releases oxygen. In the next instant, she transformed the stone stage that served as the foothold for the Pharma into a sea of flame. "You released oxygen down there." A divine technique using flashover. The Kigurashi containing the divine power of fierce firepower instantly spread explosively as if swallowing its prey in a sea of lava. Pharma, unable to resist this, uses the buoyancy of his staff ID card to create a foothold in the air with an ice sheet, leaps one more step, and evades into the air. "Wow, that's hot. You're doing it, Your Majesty. You can't go down." As if to protect the surgeon, the flames are extinguished in a circle around the Empress. The Empress seemed to know how to start and continue the combustion reaction. Pharma held up her right hand, set the range, and made the next move. Liquid nitrogen generation. White smoke rose to lick the flames on the ground. It looked as if the fire was extinguished by making the area near the stage oxygen-free with liquid nitrogen, but the divine flame of the Empress withstood and still remained burning. Next, Pharma used her ability of elimination. Erase nitrogen in the target area. If not eliminated, the Empress would have fallen into a coma due to lack of oxygen. The Empress looked up at Pharma, who had leapt into the sky and stayed there for an unnaturally long time, with a somewhat lecherous expression on her face. "I see," she said. "You can fly, can't you?" Pharma created a thick sheet of ice on the stage, crushed the heat with his divine power, and laid waste to the flames, landing soundlessly on the ice. "This is not a flight, this is a leap. Nuke nuke nuke." As she exerted force on her horizontally held staff, hundreds of scorching fireballs deployed around her. They arose and grew out of the void, scorching the atmosphere. The whirlwind of fire made the Empress' hot, flushed cheeks blush even more and agitated her beautiful, disheveled silver hair. Infiniflamme. The Empress raised her staff to the heavens and pointed straight at Pharma. She held her staff up to the heavens and pointed straight at Pharma, as if to teach the coordinates, one by one, to the flame in her grasp. Go. The fireball is cancelled by the ice barrier that Pharma has created in the air. The fireball smoldered, changed trajectory, evaporated, and disappeared. While Pharma was deflecting the attack, a multi-stage attack was launched, built up without care. Flaming arrows, searing tornadoes, and pillars of fire falling from the heavens. Pharma was overwhelmed by the art that the Empress had hidden within her, an art that could be called the divine art of an emperor. Moreover, the Empress's divine power had hardly decreased. She seemed to be waiting for an opportunity to perform a great move with her remaining power. She is hiding something. Just when Pharma was becoming more alert, the Empress, who had unleashed a variety of moves without interruption, completed a long chant that she had been gradually weaving. The powerful invocation chanting struck Pharma's ears. "Do Phoenix." The flames from the Empress' staff roared, coiled, and formed a shape. The Empress seemed to summon a giant phoenix from the heavens. This divine technique aroused the fear of even Pharma. "I've never seen such a pyromancy before." With both hands outstretched, Pharma created a barrier of ice with his left hand and a vacuum with his right. "Let me see your true form." A white flame, embodied like a phoenix by divine art. It polarizes and shines like a lightning bolt, becoming a phoenix and attacking Pharma. Just before the fire with a will stripped away his barrier and broke through, Pharma carefully clenched his fist with divine power and dove into the phoenix's bosom. Divine power and divine power collide. The output of the divine power explodes, shaking the arena. A pool of divine power, which even the Jutsujin could not contain, swirled in the atmosphere, creating a storm and causing a torrential downpour. It created a black cloud like a dragon that foreshadowed the end of the world. The Empress was a woman who was not intimidated by the sight of such a mighty pool of divine power. "This is the power of the gods. Wonderful." Elizabeth was ecstatic. Elizabeth's divine power, which had been challenged at maximum output without hesitation, ran out, and she lost the contest of divine power with Pharma. The phoenix lost its shape and became empty, and the shock wave from Pharma, which was released as a counter, returned to Elizabeth the magician. Elizabeth's body flew into the air and struck the stone stage. The Jinjutsujin reacted to cushion the impact on the Empress somewhat, but it was unable to absorb the divine power of the Pharma. "Ah, Your Majesty." Pharma suddenly came to herself, dissipated her divine power, and rushed to the fallen Elizabeth. Confronted by the phoenix, he was not able to hold back. Pharma unbands both arms. A powerful spellbook burns away in the divine flame rising from the medicine crest. The two were in the same room, and the two were in the same room at the same time. "Ha ha, you sealed the divine power with the spellbook. Don't move. You are bleeding in multiple organs." When Pharma lays her hand on the Empress' hand, divine power flows from the holy crest on her arm and gently permeates her body, healing her wounds in no time at all. The divine power that had been forcibly accumulated in his body through his travels to and from the laboratory in the other world had clearly strengthened his abilities dramatically. After the procedure, the Empress sat down limp and groggy. Does it still hurt anywhere?" She sat up and asked, "Does it still hurt anywhere? I'm sorry I forced you to go along with this. I'm thirsty, by the way." The Empress casually took Pharma's left hand and brought it close to her mouth, opening it wide. "Your Majesty, this is—" "I am thirsty," she said. "Is that a faucet, my hand?" Chuckling, Pharma offers the Empress cold, fresh water without complaint. After moistening her throat, she turned to Pharma. "Now, here's the thing, Pharma. My St. Flu vampire is going to become independent from the rule of the Holy State." "What?" Pharma was bewildered and exclaimed in shock at the Empress' words, which could have been interpreted as a farewell to the temple. The temple's central authority is no longer tolerant of such violence, and it has deviated from temple doctrine. Pharma was aware that the Emperor had been informed of the unrest in the temple and the attack on Pharma. I heard that you were attacked several times. You are lucky that nothing happened to you. The raids that the Empress was referring to included the one with Juliana, so Pharma didn't want to make things worse. I don't mind, she said. Besides, the raid has calmed down now. Pharma maintained the attitude that she did not care. If the Empire and the Holy Land were to go to war, there would be a lot of casualties. The peaceful St. Huluv Empire should not be caught in the middle of a war because of Pharma. Pharma thinks so. If we fight with the High Priestess, the Shinto techniques of all the Shinto users in this empire will be rendered useless. Wouldn't that be a great loss to the national interest? So, I would like to have a new religion founded in our empire that will make this possible. Falma's eyebrows furrowed at this unexpected trend. When religion is involved, caution comes first. Are they trying to create a new religious sect out of the old temple organization? I've seen this trend before the Reformation. The Empress speaks of the doctrine of the new religion. She speaks of the doctrine of the new religion, a new doctrine that respects and coexists with the guardian deities. The divine arts of opening and closing the divine veins will be managed not by the Great Temple, but by Solomon and Juliana, who honor their patron deities, and by those who are fit in mind and body. We must break the monopoly of the secret rituals of the High Temple. Then we will be able to break the one-sided rule of the High Priestess. Pharma accepted that the Empress was firm in her resolve. He also understood from her words that she must have discussed the matter with Solomon and the others for a long time. But if you do that, your Majesty's life may be in jeopardy. The reason for this is that the Grand Temple is supposed to find the world's most powerful divinity, raise him as an emperor, and give him the imperial throne. If the St. Flurb's Empire betrays the Great Temple, in the worst-case scenario, Elizabeth will lose both her authority and her position as emperor, and the St. Flurb's Empire's imperial rule will come to an end. The domestic situation would become unstable. There is no guarantee that a coup d'état will not occur. The peaceful imperial capital would be transformed. I have considered all possibilities. What do you think? Are you asking my opinion? Farmer smiled. Of course, I am listening to you. Of course, it is up to you. It is a new religion that worships a guardian god, receives divine power as a blessing from the guardian god, and saves people by exercising the divine arts with a will. I would like to hear your frank opinions. The Empress returned a gracious smile. I do not agree with you. I do not agree with you. I understand your feelings, Your Majesty. I understand your feelings, but, good grief. You do not intend to be a patron goddess, as Solomon said. But I did not ask you to appear and behave in public as a guardian deity. You may not appear in public, and you may reign in anonymity. What is needed is a new religion with a patron god. It is the cause of the new religion. Can't you let me stay as a mere medicine man? Pharma expressed his feelings with a sense of regret and selfishness. As a person, I want to help as many people as I can. But if you ask me to do more than that, I can't do it. I am a human being. It may not seem that way to Your Majesty. Pharma is a human being at heart, and he does not want to be the object of people's faith, nor can he accept their wishes. And even if it is a formality, such as to be the object of worship as a guardian deity, it is beyond the limit. On the other hand, I understood that the Empress was trying to create a new religion to guarantee Pharma's safety and to protect the dignity and freedom of the successive guardian deities and the future guardian deities. The Empress is thoroughly on Pharma's side. I will keep that in mind. Thank you very much for your kind attention. We will seek a way of reconciliation with the Holy Land in the near future. Perhaps Pharma's mixed feelings were conveyed. The Empress apologized for her displeasure and withheld her proposal. However, she did not withdraw the idea of training a reliable clergyman who could take control of the sacred vein in case of an emergency with the Great Temple.